I have an armed person at the PP, and we do have a complainant. They're requesting police reporting a number one male was just at the location with a gun.
If you don't have trust in your police, then you have anarchy. My biggest fear for the people that I serve is that they stop trusting us.
I think that people have an expectation when they pick up the phone to call 911, and that expectation is to have an officer respond to their call for help.
And I think from the police standpoint, they don't understand a lot of the community's struggles and issues.
It's not them versus us. It's we. It's all of us.
So I think there's a misunderstanding between both parties in terms of what one party need to do to protect the other and what the other party need to do to understand that they need that protection.
Every one of us, equality across the board, we all matter. And I think that's important that we never lose touch of that.
I love my job. I love my job. I always wanted to be a police officer.
I love my job. I go out there every day. Every day is different. I want to help people.
My job is to go out and do my job the best way I can every day and deliver the best service I can so as to maintain and foster the trust that the community has put in me to try and uphold those laws and those rules which protect us.
The job keeps me going out day to day. I'm going on 18 years law enforcement. It doesn't get old.
We're entrusted with a job that, not many people get to do. And although we do encounter, situations that are quite negative, if you look at the basic nuts and bolts of what we do, we essentially help people. We're constantly serving the public in positive ways, and I get a tremendous sense of pride from that.
I do like to connect with the people that I serve because I never like to put myself on a pedestal. I'm no different than anybody else. I see myself as one bad mistake from being on the other side of the handcuffs just like anybody else.
When I pull over a vehicle in the driver's DUI and I take them off the road for that night, I know just by taking them off the road that I've potentially saved somebody else.
We see people on their worst day. We see a lot of very, very good people that are just having the worst day of their life. And we have to enforce the laws, but how we enforce those laws can make a big difference to them on how they react to it.
Our first goal is to de-escalate the situation. We have to use our words. We have to be a human being, try to find compassion to what they're dealing with at that time. It all comes down to people and being able to relate to people. You have to be a human being first in order to make progress. You have to gain their trust, and then we can make decisions and figure out where to go with their situation from there.
Every time you wake up, you put this badge on, you put this vest, you put the gun belt on, you go out the door, and you know that you may not be walking home that night. I'm willing to do that for this community, for the people that I serve. And it takes a toll on you, and it takes a toll on your family.
I wish that people in our community would realize that we are people of our community. I want to make sure that I get to see my nieces and nephews every day. I want to make sure that I'm there for the holidays. My nephew's 7. I don't want him to think that a bad guy got me or be wondering why I'm never coming anymore. I want to make sure that I'm there for him.
Every trooper in our organization has at some time in their career suffered, probably at some level, some post-traumatic stress or something that's deeply affected them.
When officers see something tragic, they have to live with that for the rest of their life. I call it scarring the brain.
Some of the folks out there have never gone to a collision or a crash involving young children and have seen children that are critically injured or have had to go to a house and deliver a death notification to a family member. But I think if the public could see some of the things that we see and experience some of the emotions that we have, I think they'd be a lot more understanding of us.
If we can't afford to have officers out on the streets to keep us safe, who's gonna do it? who's going to keep my children safe other than me, myself? I gotta count on law enforcement just as well as anybody else in the community does. They're out here to keep us safe.
But the challenge has been that once federal funding has hit either the state or the city, because of public policy being slanted towards the majority community, our communities have not gotten the resources that it should have received.
I think there's a bigger issue that law enforcement can't fight. The cities and the lower income areas need more funding for everything. They need more funding for their education, they need more funding for careers, for drug programs. And so until we attack the root of the problem, the income inequality, we are out there dealing with the same individuals and families. Those are the issues that need to be looked at first to help keep these individuals out of the system.
And our way of life, what has made this country great, the capitalist type of economy we have where you get what you earn, kind of works against us sometimes in that people get left behind.
I think unions are going to be indispensable. They always have been, and they always will be indispensable into helping the working man or woman of today or any day come to know and appreciate the power they have. Not just as individuals, but maybe most especially what unions I think are so great at is seeing how power shared in a just way for a just cause can move mountains.
One of the things that I think recently I've noticed the most is people don't trust law enforcement necessarily as much. They believe that we are more aggressive than we are and that we are not really part of the community.
The persona that these police officers face today is that they're not caring. I think it's a double-edged sword because right now we see so many officers that have so many eyes looking upon them that they're fearful to do their job.
Nobody wants to be involved with the police. Nobody wants to have to call 911. But trying to reach out to them and do community policing is somewhat helping the effort of getting to know people in the community and trying to get people to change the way that they view the police.
I can make a difference, and I have made a difference in the past by stepping outside of this uniform and connecting with other people in the community. I'm a person, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and so I think that's a big part of reaching across that gap and connecting with people.
Community-oriented policing is something that comes inside each person, and that's the individual officer. Having a personality, being able to go out and talk to people makes you more accepting, and it's easier for the public to approach you as a law enforcement officer when they're not apprehensive or afraid. So I think sometimes when it's hard, especially if you've dealt with a difficult call, a wreck, a stabbing, an overdose, to be able to put the smile back on because you never know whose day you're going to change.
When I grew up in a community, everybody knew who everybody was. Everybody knew the family you were from. People even knew the street that you lived on.
I think that was a sense of cohesion that used to exist that has been lost over time.
Now, nobody even wants to know your name. People you can walk through almost invisible. No one even cares about you. And so that sense of not caring, that sense of being anonymous, I think works against the idea of community.
We have so many great things that are happening, but that's not where people's eyes or attention are directed. I think we need to get back to that, to the foundation of who we were. We've lost our identity.
If I look at Baltimore from my prism of my growth and development, I could really point out instances where structural racism has impacted our community in a very negative way.
We need to break that barrier down.
I do see a large gap between those in great need of resources and those who are earning millions and millions and millions. I mean, there seems to be a growing gap there, and the middle class is being stretched really thin.
The loss of jobs, the loss of good paying jobs destroys communities very quickly, or any sense of community cohesion, and then families have to struggle just to make every end meet.
There has to be some type of economic development or some type of promise for people to succeed in something.
We can't beat the problem on our own.
You definitely have to act the underlying problem. Policing alone, no. You need everybody. Against, the old adage, they say you need a village to raise a kid. Well, we need help. Everybody needs help. All the communities need help. In the union world, we're unity for the community. We're all about everybody.
The news is really, really good about creating a story that sells. What they don't always do is tell the whole story.
Regardless of our staffing level, regardless of our training, officers are going to go out and do the best job that they can every day. That's what we're here for.
So my best advice for new recruits coming onto the job would be to be honest, act with integrity, be respectful, have compassion, and those things will be better for the officer and for the community. It's a win-win.
Normally about 140, 150 officers get killed in the line of duty. And I think the best way we can memorialize those officers is to go forth with determination, doing the job the best way we can, doing the job that they died doing every day.
I was driving my police car to work one day up to the substation, and there was a vehicle that had been on the side of the road, and there was a young lady standing outside. When I pulled up, she got in her car and she locked the doors. And she was on the phone with someone, and I could see that she had a flat tire. And she rolled her window down, but just a little bit, to talk to me. And I kind of sensed that even in my uniform, she had some reservation in dealing with me. And I asked her if I could help her, and she said she had a flat, but she was going to have help come and get her. Well, her help was approximately 150 miles away. And I explained to her that I'd be more than happy to change. If she released the trunk release, she could stay in the vehicle. And she did. And I changed her tire, and I closed the trunk, and I told her she was safe to go. She got out of her car, and she hung up the phone and she hugged me. She said, "Thank you." She said, "Thank you so much for helping me." It changed for me. It just made me feel like maybe in that moment she saw the reality of who we are.